welcome to the night drive. Welcome to the night ride, everyone. We're here in Longmont, Colorado, en route to Colorado Springs. This is going to be a short stream to just thank everybody for bringing me across to 1,500 subscribers. Really appreciate it. Really means a lot to me. Here to answer any questions you guys might have. Just kind of a low-key vibe and drive stream. Here to talk about anything y'all want to talk about at all. Even if that's just vibing and driving. Just going down these midnight roads. We're going to be chasing Nebraska tomorrow and Minnesota on Monday. Looking like we got a big day coming. Hey Sydney, nice to see ya. Thanks for stopping by. It's our 1,500 subscriber Q&A. Just thanking everybody for making this all possible. I couldn't do this without y'all, so it's really appreciated. I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have. Just a standard ask me anything. So, anything you guys want to know. Anything you guys want to know, any questions you guys might have. I'm trying to do my best to answer them as best I can. Anything you guys want to tell me, want to share. It's open mic night, or at least as much as it can be. Just a low-key stream. Got no ads on this one. Latest tornado that I saw. Well, I'm pretty sure the latest tornado that I saw was that tornado down in... was that tornado down in Texas. Big Lake, Texas, I think 2 weeks ago. That was a confirmed tornado warned storm right about at dusk. Don't think that's tornado. That was a spotter confirmed tornado. I'm not sure if it got a rating. There was a storm I chased in the middle of the week out near Parker, Colorado, which is kind of close to where I live. I don't think that storm ever produced a tornado. I think, well, that's not true actually. I think some storm chasers in my Discord server chased that storm down and got eyes on a tornado under there, but I didn't see that one. That storm might have produced a tornado after dark. They got some after dark footage of that possible tornado, very likely tornado. But the last one that I saw was down in Big Lake, Texas. About 2 weeks ago. Latest I ever stood up to chase is I pulled an all-nighter, almost an all-nighter, about a month ago to drive down with my buddy Mason Harris we couldn't get the day off, so we just drove for 14 hours straight to get to Arkansas to chase a setup in southern Arkansas where we saw a couple of QLCS tornadoes as a result of a cell merger where we had a QLCS tornado a couple QLCS tornadoes happen as a result of QLCS overtaking a few isolated prefrontal supercells. We drove for about 14 hours straight. Got about, oh man, we were up till 3, 4 in the morning. Got a couple hours of sleep and got right on those storms. The glare on my windshield is creating these kind of cool looking orbs drifting across the screen. Are you guys seeing those? Or is that just my optics? Joining me, my name is Patrick. I'm a storm chaser, and I have 1,500 subscribers. I've had this YouTube channel for, well, darn near 20 years, and for the bulk of that 20 years, I've had about 20 subscribers. And just this last year, I've grown it from 20 subscribers to 1,500, so I really appreciate it, y'all. Shenanigans. Tonight's all about shenanigans, Sydney. We're getting up to hijinks, some shenanigans. Oh, no problem being silly. We do silly here. We do cool crimes here too. Well, the company is certainly appreciated. I'm actually moving tonight. You guys can see I got all my stuff in boxes back here. So, it's kind of a time being, I'm temporarily moving to Colorado Springs from Fort Collins. Yeah, Colorado Springs is a nice little town. A little bit higher elevation than I'm used to. Colorado's like, Fort Collins is like about a mile high, I think. Like, Colorado Springs is a little bit higher in elevation. Oh, that doesn't surprise me, Sydney. I'm a mod for like 4 or 5 storm chasers also. Saw a lot of storm chasers catching tornadoes out in Texas this week. I do not chase full time, so I try to kind of target threats that are on weekends. I did get some coverage, or threats that are in Colorado where I can dive out. Well, I'll keep you in mind, Sydney. I actually have probably too many cooks in the kitchen right now. I got more mods than I know what to do with right now. This week I got featured on Evan Freiberger's channel, so I really appreciate him for hosting me there. That was really cool to be featured there. I was also featured on TikTok meteorologist's channel, Jessica Does Weather, so that was pretty cool as well. It's great to be featured on both those guys. Yeah. That was a crazy. I'll post a video of my dash cam, so you guys don't have to dig through like a 6-hour long live stream just do a fast forward of it. But that was a crazy supercell. That thing flew from Parker all the way out to I think it ended up going all the way into Oklahoma. I think it made it all the way into Oklahoma, and that supercell just wouldn't die. And that thing just kept cycling and throwing out hook echoes, and I just kept sticking with it. It looked very cool. Man, that thing was so close to dropping a tornado. I'm pretty sure it. So I didn't chase it after dark, but a couple storm chasers in my Discord went after it after dark, and I'm pretty sure they saw it drop a tornado. I don't think it was a confirmed tornado, but from the pictures they posted, I feel darn sure that thing probably produced a tornado after dark. There was also big supercell in downtown Denver that same day too. Not too far from where I am right now, actually. Sydney, what other storm chasers do you mod for? Jordan Hall, damn. Dang, he's real high profile. I feel like I only ever see Jordan Hall on TikTok. Is he actually? Oh, I know. Sometimes these storm chasers can get on here and stream for like 8 hours at a time. Yeah, I try to only mod for like I mod for like John McKinney, and who else do I mod for? Ryan Scholl on occasion. Bad for Ryan Scholl sometimes. He's a goofy guy. I see him trying his level best sometimes, but Kopech. Kopech's real high profile. He's Fox Weather. You know, I've run into Kopik a bunch of times, but I've never actually met the guy. Never had a chance to like shake his hand yet. Same thing with like Reed Timmer. I've run into him a couple times. I've met Edgar O'Neill a couple times. You know, the funny thing is here, I think most people don't know this about me. My audience for storm chasing is not in America. Most of my following, most of the people who watch my storm chasing like live streams and videos are in China, actually. I have my largest following on Xiaohongshu. It's a Chinese social media app. And my second largest following is on Bilibili, which is kind of basically a Chinese version of YouTube. I produce most of my videos for a Chinese audience, so I usually subtitle them all in Mandarin. My social media following in the U.S. is actually quite small. It's like 1,500. Yeah, this video is celebrating 1,500. But China, it's much larger than this. I think the reason for that is that storm chasing is a little bit more novel over there because China doesn't really get they don't really get like tornadic storms out there, like supercells and stuff. Not really a thing that happens in China. Most of the storm chasers in China really get most of their storms in Inner Mongolia, which is kind of the northern part of China. The other kind of like tornadoes that they get out in China are usually tropical tornadoes, like associated with typhoons. Or like water spouts, because you know there's a couple very large lakes in China too. But for the most part, you know, storm chasers in China don't have a lot of options when it comes to tornadoes. They do get very dramatic dust storms up there, though. Learned some interesting things though, like producing content for primarily a Chinese audience. Like there's some highways in China that are like they go through the Himalayas, and like the Himalayas are like really tall mountains. Like, I don't think Americans appreciate just how tall those mountains are. Like they're literally so tall that there's posted signage on those highways that warn you that you shouldn't remain on those highways for too long because you'll suffer brain damage because of oxygen deprivation. Like their highways are literally so high elevation, it's dangerous to be on them too long. Yeah, yeah, Himalayas are actually huge. Yeah, actually, that's how I've actually been able to fund a lot of my storm chasing this year. Is you guys might have noticed, I haven't been filming on my Sony cameras a whole lot lately. It's because I've actually got a contract with a... How do I talk about this delicately? Because I have an NDA. I've got a contract with a major Chinese electronics manufacturer to use some of their devices to film, to do some storm chasing with, and use them for photography. And they're funding me at least through the end of May, so they've been paying for all my storm chases. Hey, no worries. Nice to see you, Mr. Twister. I'm going to be passing through your neighborhood pretty soon, actually. I'm here, as you can see, just down near Alameda, enjoying Denver nightlife. By Denver nightlife, I mean mostly Denver traffic in and around Alameda. Look at that. Denver traffic. We have it all, folks. at least these guys here aren't splitting lanes or anything. Yeah, I'm actually moving tonight. You guys can see here, I got my car full of boxes. Car full of boxes. So I'm actually moving in with temporarily moving in with Storm Chaser Mason Harris for a little bit as I kind of transition to another place. Oh, we got some serious uncool crimes happening here. Looks like. I'm moving to Colorado Springs. Yeah, I'm moving to Colorado Springs. Temporarily, it's just a temporary arrangement, just going to be for a couple of weeks while I work on landing a more permanent residence. I have an arrangement to, in August, move in with a old friend of mine. And we're probably either going to get a place in Aurora, Colorado, which is not too far from where I am right now, or Chicago, Illinois. I lived in Minneapolis for a lot of years, and I, visited Chicago pretty frequently. I like Chicago. I like Minneapolis. I like the Midwest. I wouldn't mind living out in the Midwest again. I would especially love to live in Minneapolis again. Minneapolis is it's a great city. I'd love to live there again. Don't love the winters out there, but I do like the Twin Cities a lot. Well, okay, I like Minneapolis a lot. I don't care for St. Paul, but I'm sure everyone understands. Yeah, the Midwest is pretty great. I always enjoyed visiting Chicago. I really, really like Minneapolis a lot. It's just a nice city. It's a cool city. Oh God, Omaha. Ugh. I mean, I guess Omaha's okay. Omaha's not the worst. I mean, I guess as a storm chaser, Omaha's a good place to be because you have a lot of access to a lot of, highly active tornado locations there. I don't know about that, Rich. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Minneapolis. Northern Spark, all the brewery scene there. I had a lot of good times in Minneapolis. Minneapolis is great. I like the people there. Like the arts district and stuff. Like I'm an animator, so I had a lot of fun there. I'm chasing Minnesota on Monday. Minneapolis has a lot of real hidden treasures in it too. There's a lot of like cross country skiing. There's just a lot of stuff going on there. You really have to kind of get into the culture of Minnesota. That was just me being a hipster in my 20s, so maybe it was more geared for young people. I will say Minneapolis has definitely earned its reputation for having undercurrent of passive aggressiveness. I will give it that. But yeah, I am planning to chase Minnesota on Minnesota or Iowa, Wisconsin on Monday. Also, Rich, thanks for dropping in. Nice to see you. I am. This is my 1,500 subscriber stream. I was just telling everybody that thanks everybody for being here. This channel is not possible without all y'all, so I sure do appreciate having you guys here. 2, you guys probably don't know this, or maybe you do. My American audience is much smaller than my audience in China. You guys probably know that I have a pretty large following on the Chinese social media app Xiaohongshu. My following on that app significantly dwarfs my following on American social media. Storm chasing is a little bit more novel in China, and that I am currently collaborating with a storm chaser out in Inner Mongolia. I'd really like to try to get him out to the United States. They don't get the same kind of weather in China that we get here in the U.S. And I think that he would. He's a young guy. He's like in college. He's like 24. He's like 10 years younger than me. I think it'd be really cool to try to do some fundraising this year to see if we could bring him over to the U.S. Traveling from China to the U.S. is a little bit more difficult than it is to travel from the U.S. to China. The government out there doesn't exactly give passports to just everybody. That process is a little bit more involved out there. It would be really cool to get Range out here to come chase storms in the U.S. I think that'd be great if we could get him out here. Because I'm doing a collaborative project with him right now as part of a marketing promotion thing for an international technology company that's based in Beijing. But he's out there chasing haboobs and dust devils in Mongolia. It would be really cool to get him out here to chase some real tornadoes in Oklahoma. I think you'd really enjoy that. There's like a couple hurdles we'd have to clear to get him out here. One, we'd have to figure out how to get him clearance to get to come to the United States, and I'm not really sure how you do that in China. It's not impossible, but it is a little bit harder than it is. Like, it's harder to get a passport in China than it is the U.S. And the second hurdle is financial. That one is the one that's the side of things that I'd be interested in doing, is trying to figure out how to do some fundraising to get him out here. I work for a company that has a little bit of reach. Actually, we do a lot of business in China, so I think it would be. I can probably pull some strings for my company to help them get him out here. But I think if I could get Range out to the U.S. to come do some storm chasing, I think that would be a dream come true for him to actually come out here and see some real storms, because he's got an incredible portfolio of time lapse. He's clearly taken some inspiration in his time lapse photography from Michael Binsky or even Nicholas Wagner. He's got some. China doesn't get the kind of weather we get here, but he's got some truly impressive photography under his belt. I'd really love to see what he could do, coming to visit the United States. He doesn't have much of a. Again, you guys are, I'm sure, aware. China has a pretty significant. Their government has a pretty significant internet censorship policy. They're very restrictive about what their citizens can view. So he doesn't have a window into American social media as much. So he doesn't have a big American social media presence. Oh man, dang! I haven't seen a lot of Jaden Pappenheim hasn't been on my timeline a whole lot this year. I haven't seen him out there in the field either. I think he's one of my favorite storm chasers. Honestly, he's a pretty cool guy. storm chasing I've been doing. I just haven't had any time to do any real modding. I've been trying to... Everything that John McKinney chases, I'm also chasing. I'm out for him, but pretty much every storm he's been on, I've also been on. I really like Corey Gherkin. Corey Gherkin's a funny guy. No worries, it's good to have you, Mr. Twister. It's always a pleasure to have you stop by. Sorry about that, Sydney. Streamlabs can be a little bit a little bit spicy there. But yeah, that's a kind of a project I want to work towards next year, is seeing if we can't get my friend Liu, he goes by the handle Range, out from China to come to the United States and chase some real storms out here. He's a cool kid. I think it'd be really neat to get him out here to actually see some storms out here in the U.S. I don't know what he'd have to do. I don't know anything about the process of getting approved for a passport in China. That's something he'd have to figure out. But I think I would want to see. But I would want to try to do some kind of fundraising, because I mean, like a round trip ticket, like airfare from the U.S. to China, if you can plan it in advance, right? I mean, that's like $1,300. That's not bad. And then what, 2-3 weeks of staying in the U.S. On a tourist visa. I don't know. I think we could make it happen. I think it'd be worth it. I think it'd be cool to get him out here. If I wasn't driving, I'd share some of his videography with y'all. He's a very, very talented guy, very talented storm chaser. But like I said, tonight's a Q&A session. If y'all got questions, I'm trying to do my best to answer them. So if you guys got any burning questions you want to know, my favorite pizza topping, the list of crimes I did while I was in Minneapolis. Try to do my very best to answer you guys' questions. I'm currently right now on my way driving to actually go visit Storm Chaser Mason Harris. I'm actually moving right now. Actually, he's given me a place to live for next couple of weeks. I'm actually going to be moving to see all my boxes here in the back of my car. Best storm? That's maybe a little bit too much, Sydney, but best storm. Honestly, the best storm ever, Joffrey, was June 20th, 2024. We had a pocket of Cape kind of pop up here in northern Colorado, and we got a little cluster of isolated supercells that formed up in Wyoming and Colorado. And honestly, it was just a weird environment. We just had a lot of sheer cap, so we didn't get any tornadoes, but we got a lot of really pretty isolated supercells, and I chased a bunch of really cool looking low precipitation supercells all across Wyoming and Colorado. It was just a really great, really fun storm chasing day. Didn't see any tornadoes. And that's not true. I saw one possible tornado, but a very clear laminar lowering on an unexpected supercell kind of popped up. But it was a really fun, really cool storm chasing day. Don't know what else to say for it other than cool storm. It was just a lot of fun, It was just a really cool day. It wasn't like a very memorable, It was an extremely memorable day. It wasn't like a high risk day or anything like that. It was just kind of a, there's no chance of any tornadoes forming that day. It was just a fun day of storm chasing. First tornado I ever saw, I've told this story a bunch of times on the channel. First tornado I ever saw actually was in Wyoming, 1997. It was twin tornadoes actually. It was a land spout and a supercell tornado. Gave me PTSD basically. Yeah, but you should have seen what happened to that tornado, though, Rich. Hey, Tornado Explorer. Always good to have you. Yeah, tornadoes will do that, Rich. Hey, I mean, at least it didn't, like, or maybe it did. At least it didn't roll you. So to answer your question, Joffrey, and then I'll answer yours, Jacqueline. In eastern Colorado, you can chase without a cell range extender. Actually, a lot of the chases I did back in when I first started getting started, like that chase I did out in Fort Morgan where I got my first kind of big break, that one I did without a cell range extender. Verizon has pretty good coverage in eastern Colorado, actually. And you know why that is? It's because there's a bunch of missile silos out there. If you chase in western Nebraska or eastern Colorado, there's actually a very active, that's where most of, there's a lot of nuclear missile silos out there. So the military personnel out there need cell service. So the road network out there is pretty good and the cell coverage out there is pretty good. And to answer your question, Jacqueline, I'm headed to Colorado Springs. I am actually moving right now. You guys can see here, I got a bunch of moving boxes in the back of my car. I am actually going to be currently going to be getting a room, or it's staying temporarily with storm chaser Mason Harris. He's very generously offered to let me crash with him for a couple weeks while I work on making arrangements to move somewhere else. So I'm either going to be moving to Aurora, Colorado, or moving to Chicago, Illinois. Potentially. I'm not really sure which. I'd love to stay here in Colorado. I like Colorado, but boy howdy, is it expensive out here. I like the Midwest. I lived in Minneapolis for a lot of years. Yeah, Mason's a good dude. He's solid. Yeah, he's been great to partner up with. I've lived in Chicago, and Chicago's pretty great. I've loved it out there. It's my kind of town. Chicago's pretty nice. You know, I was actually thinking about moving to Laramie for a hot second. You know, I like Laramie a lot. You know, it's much more affordable than Colorado. You know, you got nice mountain access and stuff. You know, it's right along I-80, which would be a really great choice for me because I do a lot of storm chasing out in Nebraska, so it'd give me good access to Nebraska. You know, I'm definitely much more. I like Laramie. Laramie's pretty nice. But you know, I think when it comes right down to it, you know, I'm 35. I'm single currently. You know, and I think if I'm being totally real, part of my decision making is actually I just like want to meet people. It's kind of harder to meet people in a small town like Laramie. You know, it's a college town. I think what most people don't realize about Laramie is that half of its population is college students, and so like during the summer, or like most of that city's population leaves the city. Like most of Laramie's population doesn't actually live in Laramie, so I wouldn't necessarily want to go live up there. You know, as much as it is that, you know, I love all the camping and hiking and fishing and stuff you can do up in Laramie, you know, and the solitude and all that, it's kind of a maybe a little bit too small for me. Yeah, you know, like I was saying earlier, I lived in Minneapolis for a while. I'd love to live in Minneapolis again. Minneapolis is a nice town, very nice city. Same thing with Chicago. I wouldn't mind living in Chicago again. Chicago is a very nice city, very, very clean city. Yeah, I think that's the one thing I didn't like about living in Chicago or Minneapolis is it's very cold. It's very chilly out there. Very cold. Well, appreciate everybody being here. Just to let everybody know, it's a Q&A session. So if there's anything you guys want to know about me, questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I'm happy to answer it all. You guys have all made this channel possible, so I really appreciate y'all being here. 1,500 subscribers. I am absolutely, I just really appreciate all of you. Just, you guys, this channel would be nothing without you, so it absolutely means the world to me to have you guys here. I'll be dropping a new video soon. That shows that chase I did on Wednesday when I left Parker and I got on that storm. Once we got out into Flatland, I got some really cool shots of that supercell. I haven't spent any time in China, actually. As much as it is that most of my audience is in China, I haven't actually been out there. I'm hoping to get a chance to get out to Beijing actually later this year. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. You know, I think one of the things I've discovered since, like, now that I have kind of like a bigger following in China is that, you know, I think as much as it is that, you know, I tried to find a way to say this delicately without trying to get into any political topics. As much as it is that the American government likes to portray China as like an adversarial nation, everyday people living in China really kind of like have a very positive view of the United States and like have a very positive view of Americans. And I think that goes both ways too. Like, you know, I don't think there's been any point in my life when I've ever had like necessarily a negative view of China. So like, it always astonishes me that China is always viewed as kind of like an adversary, when the reality is that like they're very, very good. They're a very, very good, like, and necessary, like, ally to the United States, both politically and economically, and we have a very similar culture. So I think the fact that I have such a big audience in China is, I think, a real testament to that. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to having an opportunity to actually get out there finally, and actually meet some of my fans on the other side of the Pacific. There's actually where I have my largest following, social media following, is the Chinese social media app Xiaohongshu. There's a meme on that app called the pet tax, right? Whenever you join that app, you post pictures of your pets, right? They call it the pet tax. In response to the recent exchange of tariffs going on between nations, there's been kind of a fun joke going on between American and Chinese users there, where it's like, guys, they're raising the tariffs, so you have to post more pet pictures, right? Because they're raising the pet tax. And I've been just having a lot of fun posting pictures of the dogs. So there's kind of an in-joke between like Chinese and American users on the app, kind of just making light of the economic circumstances too. So again, I don't really want to touch on the politics of that, but it has been really fun just like connecting with people overseas. It's I think more people should do that. I think we would have a much better world if more people took the time and effort to just like, get to know people who have different life experiences than you. It's been good for me, at least. Yeah, you know what I'm saying though? It's like, we're raising the pet tax, guys. It's such a funny meme to me, It's just and it's really wholesome too. It's very wholesome. But anyways, we got 16 people watching. I'm really glad to have all you guys here. I really appreciate it. I'll keep streaming for a little bit longer. But just to catch everybody up here, my name's Patrick. I'm a Storm Chaser. I've got 1,500 subscribers. That's a lot of people. I don't even have a concept of what that many people looks like either necessarily. So I really appreciate all of you guys who have made this channel possible. I have now Rich. I think I've gotten. So those of you guys who don't know, my full-time job outside of storm chasing is I'm a game developer. I work for a mobile game studio. I make games. I also made an indie first-person shooter, and I've worked and done consulting on a bunch of indie first-person shooters, kind of in the retro first-person shooter space. And somebody who makes video games, you get to meet a lot of people internationally, just online. Just because, like, if you want to make money selling games, you have to sell your game in multiple different markets. So you have to do like localization, right? You got to translate your game to different languages. You got to be sensitive to other cultures. So you have to like for instance, if you want to sell your game in Brazil, you have to deal with like Brazil's censorship laws, which are a little bit more stringent than the United States. Same thing if you're selling things in the Eurozone. There are different censorship laws in the Eurozone, so like we had to release different versions of my game in Europe because like they have different rating system in Europe than they do in the United States for publishing. So we had to deal with some of that. So you just end up meeting a lot of people around the world if you're working as like a video game developer, just by virtue of the fact that if you're selling things in other countries, you just have to meet people in other countries. So I kind of wish that was an experience that more people had. It's just like getting to know people around the world. I think it's an experience that would benefit more people if you just got to meet more people around the world. There was actually a really interesting thing that I found out about actually in China, is that grade school students in China actually have to write as part of like their core curriculum. have to write basically like letters to like, you know, fictional people overseas, like, you know, talking about like, you know, Chinese culture, what it's like to live in China and stuff like that. But like, they don't, you know, they write these letters to people who are like allegedly overseas, but like they don't actually send them to anybody, right? Because they, you know, they don't actually have pen pals. And so an interesting thing that has happened recently, because there's been more cultural exchange, especially through like TikTok and Xiaohongshu, is like some American users have actually started like receiving, like hearing those letters from these kids, and it's actually been a very like heartwarming thing, right? These letters that are like not actually addressed to anybody, that are sent to like fictional recipients, are actually being read by real recipients, and it's actually pretty heartwarming. Because I don't know, so I you know, I find this stuff kind of interesting. Yeah, they did. Yeah, there's a lot of new development going in down here, and a lot of old development coming out. I don't know if you've been through Fort Collins or any yeah, Colorado's growing pretty quick. But if you're just joining us now, hi, my name's Patrick, the Storm Chaser, and I'm celebrating 1,500 subscribers with an AMA, so ask me anything. All I can say about Colorado recently is it's just more traffic. Things are just more expensive. That's all. More traffic, more expensive. The usual. Well, just to give you all an idea of what's coming up, tomorrow we're going to be chasing western Nebraska. Monday, I'm going to be chasing Iowa. Yeah, Colorado has always had kind of a... Well, that's actually not entirely true. The Colorado Front Range has actually been more affordable. Living up in the mountains has always been kind of expensive. But, like, there's been this trend recently where Colorado, like, towns along the Front Range have been trying to, like, rebrand themselves to be more like mountain towns that are, like, kind of bougie and expensive. Like, there's not a nice way to say this. Colorado Front Range towns used to be kind of like white trash towns, and they've all kind of like gotten bougie. Like there's always been the kind of high end like bougie suburbs like Parker or Castle Rock, but like places like Aurora and like Colorado Springs have always been kind of trashy, and they're not trashy anymore. They're kind of expensive. Well, okay, yeah, Brighton's kind of expensive. But you guys are Greeley is kind of like Greeley, it's the armpit of Colorado. Greeley famously was like kind of a dump, but like Greeley's like a high-end place to live now. It's like I can't afford to live in Greeley. Yeah, Greeley's like the new Aspen. It's insane. It's like living in Breckenridge. All these Front Range towns have been rebranding themselves as like kind of like boutique living arrangements. It's all just like, or like, you know, kind of yuppie towns. Getting priced out of everywhere now. That's kind of partially why I'm having to move right now. Yeah, everything's been real expensive out here. Yeah, I sure wouldn't mind. Yeah, Montana is actually, I've heard about that. Well, like, Montana has also been kind of going, I feel like Montana has always kind of been like a resort state, if that makes sense, because like, I know that I feel like Montana has like a wealthier than average population. Maybe my read on that's been wrong, but like, everybody I know from Montana is pretty well-to-do. Yeah, that's not surprising. Yeah, just the cost of everything has just been going up lately, though. That's kind of, I think, just the general trend. You know, I wouldn't mind living in Michigan, Rich, actually. That's like where most of my family's from, so, you know, that's kind of... I wouldn't mind living back out there again. My family's from Ada, Michigan. I have been to a haunted place, and I have seen something spooky. There was an old farmhouse out near Horsetooth and Timberline in Fort Collins, Colorado, where I came up. There's something about that place, because we got a we can maybe talk about this. So I come from a Catholic family. You guys haven't guessed. You guys might notice that there's a bit of a discrepancy between my first and last name. I have an aggressively Irish first name and an aggressively Mexican last name. You get the best of both worlds, right? You got the Mexican Catholic and the Irish Catholic. Two entirely different types of superstitious going on there. I don't know how many people have had a deeply superstitious Mexican lady in their family, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. But that was kind of something. She used to do, kind of have very kind of superstitious, like, ritual beliefs, you know, like, she used to believe that she could split thunderstorms with a knife and stuff through power of prayer and all that. So I was kind of raised around the idea of that kind of, I don't know, Mexican Catholic superstition. Yeah, I have been to a place that is haunted, and I had an experience there that I don't think that I can necessarily explain. I don't know how much weight I'd put on it necessarily, because yeah, I think that's the most I can say. Yeah, I don't necessarily know that I believe in. I do on this channel. I sometimes do like a ghost town exploration type stuff. Mostly just, like, you know, exploring abandoned buildings and stuff. It's not about, like, you know, talking to ghosts or anything. I don't do seances or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not that kind of superstitious. I am, you know, interested in more in the historical side of things and local histories. I am very interested in that kind of stuff. I think when we're taught history and when we're taught history, we are always taught history from the top down. We are taught about people like generals and presidents and kings and armies and, you know, top down history. You know, change lanes, buddy, or you just throwing that blinker up for fun. No, you're not gonna turn. All right. I think he forgot he had his blinker on. I'm interested in one of the things I like doing that I'm going to start doing on the channel is I like going to old graveyards and just like learning about the people who are buried there, because oftentimes you get to learn history. We're used to hearing about history of we're used to learning about the history of the world from the lens of, like, you know, big events, but rarely do we get to hear about the little guy. So I do have some streams planned in the near future that I will be doing. So one, I found a tour guide, a self-guided tour of Denver from 1960. Like it's a little book that like you can follow to take a tour of Denver. And it's from 1960. So I'm gonna follow that book and see just like what it would have been like to visit Denver in 1960 and see how much of that, and like follow that self-guided tour and just see what that's like, you know? So I'm gonna need to figure out how to set up my IRL streaming backpack. So to figure out how to do that live stream and get like I was probably gonna have to put like a GoPro on my head or something to do that stream, but it'll be fun. You know, just hike around Denver, do that. That'll be cool. And then I want to do then there's a ghost town stream. So there's a ghost town. I discovered a ghost town near Fort Morgan that is on private property that, as far as I know, is not documented. There's a local historic society out there so I've identified there's a few standing structures there, and I haven't found it located on any of the maps that track ghost towns. I want to get out there and see if we can document that ghost town. I talk about doing cool crimes on this channel. I don't know if breaking into people's property is a cool crime necessarily. So, but I do want to see if I can find out who owns that field and see if we can get out there and document that ghost town. And then there's also a ghost town I found near Alliance, Nebraska that I'm also pretty sure. That's a good way, near Fort Morgan, Rich. That's a good way to get shot. That's a good way to get dead. So, yeah, well, I'm thinking a drone is the way I want to handle that one, because you can fly over people's property with a drone. So I'm thinking that's the way I want to handle that one. I mean, the way I would rather handle it is just find out who owns that property and see if that ghost town is. I can tell it's a ghost town because it's got a church. Most people don't have churches on their property, so. I'm thinking it was, and based on the construction and the type of architecture, I would guess that it's probably one of those old Mormon homestead towns. So if I had to guess, it was probably a Mormon trail town that's not documented. I think it'd be really cool to figure that one out. You should, Jacqueline, I got a Discord server. You should absolutely join that and post some of that. I'm into spooky stuff like that. We do a lot of horror movies and stuff on my Discord. We have fun. I generally into witchy stuff, so I think that's pretty cool. I think I'm basically into Colorado Springs now, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this stream up here, guys. So anyways, look forward to me streaming from Western Nebraska tomorrow, and probably Minnesota or Iowa on Monday. I just want to sign off by saying thank you all so very much for making this channel possible. This isn't I've had this YouTube channel for 20 years, and I had about 20 subscribers at this time last year. This time last year I had 20 subscribers, and now it's at 1,500, and that's all thanks to you guys. It's really appreciated. It means the world to me. I really appreciate you guys being here, and it means absolutely everything to me, and I can't thank you guys enough. So yeah, it's absolutely been a wild journey. In the last year I've gone through 3 cars. I went through 2 Subarus, and now I got this, hopefully this Chevy will last me a little bit longer. And just a real blessing to have you guys. So I just really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. All right, guys, look for my stream tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, and stay safe, folks.